Sounds so familiar, don't I know you well? Where do you come from? I come from there too. Something in your tone I know I've known before.
Good evening. Song feels really fitting after listening to everybody share. Just recognizing a piece of myself in everyone's process, and yeah, this is a huge rite of passage for all of us as students and to therapists, and it's been such a precious and humbling time these last few weeks for me. So, yeah, the last couple of weeks I've really been going through how I wanted to share my experience of internship with everybody, and this plant, this lily here has been kind of my ally and informer as I've processed everything that's happened for me, not only through internship, but the last 3 years. And about 2 weeks ago, these leaves here were yellow and big and looked like they were dissolving, and it looked like the plant wasn't going to make it. And that's how I felt too. About 2 weeks ago, I was just totally destroyed, and this internship experience has been wonderful and had me on my knees and back up again. So I was really feeling these leaves that didn't look very well, and so I started cutting them little by little and noticed that this new growth started to come out. These little kind of shoots of hope. And then this stem started to sprout up, and I knew what was coming, but it takes time. And that's a huge piece of what I've gotten with this whole process of school and classes and being a part of a community and group and allowing myself to emerge in that process and let my real self come through, is that it takes time. And even though I have a sense of what may show in time, patience is a word I've heard a few times this evening. And yeah, so this flower plant was really with me towards the end, and just yesterday the second flower really bloomed, and it felt really fleeting that tonight is my capstone, the flowers in full bloom, and I feel pretty blossomed at the moment as well. So I had to bring it. And on the journey over, I realized there's more teaching, this precious, perfect creature in this really harsh car just bouncing in the wind, and it's kind of like the journey that we're all on, this journey of healing that, we got to step outside of that safe, kind of contained environment to take in anything new. So she's having a new experience tonight, and yeah, so I wanted to start with her. So I did my internship at 2 different sites. I chose the counseling center that's through school, which I began a year ago when I was in my practicum, and that's when, as students, we take everything that we've been doing, all the inner work and all the learning in the classroom, and bring it out to the community and start connecting with clients. And so a year ago I did that, and I really had some pretty profound connections with a couple clients that I didn't want to sever when I started internship. So I decided to continue on and really continue witnessing and celebrating their growth as well as learning, because what I've got is that the long-term work, it takes time to really go to these places with another human, and a lot of trust, and that just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen it doesn't happen quickly. So that was one site, and I started with just a handful of clients that I had begun in practicum, and ended up just saying yes and yes to more clients. And I'm bilingual, so taking on Spanish-speaking individuals, couples, families, and before I knew it, I had over 20 clients at the counseling center on top of my second internship. And this was a huge lesson for me in limits, which I have a really big spirit that thinks she can take on a lot, and I can, to a limit. And I was talking about these leaves that were pretty destroyed 2 weeks ago, and that's how I felt, just really trying to hold everything that I created. And I'm really happy that I learned this now, and not once I started doing this as my work after graduating, because I'm very aware of what I don't want to recreate. So that was my first site, and then my second site was Solutions Treatment Center, and this was a wonderful experience. Throughout my time in school, I really recognized that I love working with groups, and so I really sought that out for my internship. And, at Solutions, we work with a variety of different things. It's anywhere from substance abuse to depression, anxiety, other process addictions. So it's a real wide spectrum, and everyone comes together in one group. So it's not just people who are dealing with recovery from alcohol or drugs or eating disorders. Everyone's together. And the heart of the program is really based on these 16 core themes that we cycle through. And they're pretty much themes that all of us deal with, anywhere from goal setting to family of origin issues, communication skills, self-destructive behaviors, boundary setting, life changes and transitions, shadow. The Shadow Week was one of my favorites, really exploring our shadow nature. Health and wellness, mind-body connection. So just to give you a sense, no matter what anyone was coming in for, we were really trying to get to the kind of the root of their behaviors, and helping to facilitate change through them recognizing for themselves their own patterns. So at Solutions, I was co-facilitating four groups a week and was seeing individual clients as well. And in addition to working with the groups, a huge challenge and gift and lesson for me was working with another as well, just co-leading and really recognizing how much grace is involved. I think you used grace as one of your words, and it's like dancing, and having to really attune to this other being who is holding space for these individuals that are seeking guidance, and it's a huge responsibility. I mean, if the co-leaders are not dancing gracefully, it's felt, and so that was a huge lesson for me as well, how to work with another, which I'm still learning and refining. I don't think it will ever end. So, in working with these themes at Solutions, what I really loved was that I was given so much freedom to pretty much experiment and do what I was moved to do with these groups, and the center really supports the expressive arts, so we did a lot of movement and music and ritual and ceremony, as well as life skills and some CBT. That really wasn't my strength. I'm a little more on the free-flowing end of things, and it was great. Everyone at the center kind of has their own strengths, and together we're a really great team. And yeah, it just felt like an honor to work with everybody there, the clients and the therapists. So what I did was, in my first quarter of internship, we were invited to work on a painting, an ongoing painting, for 10 weeks, and I chose to paint a door. So I had this big door that I found on the property where I live, and every week I would go in. It was once a week, and kind of just, I don't know, I was thinking of it earlier today, and it was like painting my soul skin, and the door really came to life. It felt like flesh, and so this is the door transformed. So this is the first 10 weeks of my internship, and it was hard working with a lot of these clients and facing and holding their hopelessness as well as mine at moments. But still, as this flower, knowing that there's something in there that wants to live and come forth. So this was a door, and in the second 10 weeks, I didn't really touch the door. I just kind of left it in a room over there and would go visit it, and knew that something would come when it was ready, but it wasn't ready. And one of the directives that we did at Solutions with the clients, with the group, during the relationship theme week was to build a shrine with them to honor transformation in relationships. So this second piece was inspired by that group, which the clients, they responded really well. It was, I think for some of them, the first experience of acknowledging change as something sacred and really acting on that recognition. So I made a shrine in honor of all of the relationships that were built and just tended to in the last 6 months through my internship. Actually, the clients in my practicum as well. So that's what this shrine is, and I also, as I was closing out all of my client files at the Counseling Center and Solutions, I had to do termination summaries for everybody, and as I was doing that, I was just really keeping in mind what were the gifts that they walked away with, and what were the gifts that I gleaned as well in the process. So I did that. As I closed out a file, I would write down the gifts that we both had, and then went home, and I didn't do it for everyone because I had a lot of clients, but for the most significant ones, I painted the gifts and wrote their names, so everyone is included in this bundle, and it's a bundle of gifts. And so I'm going to burn this because I'm ready to let go of this chapter, and as this is a rite of passage, really step through this arch and just acknowledge everyone that that was so willing and vulnerable, and it's just love. It sounds kind of cliche, but it's really what I experienced with each client, this opening to love, to self-love, to loving their process, to loving their shadow. I don't know if everyone got there, but a lot of them have, and it's happened for me in the process as well. So as I do this, I'm going to invite everybody else, if you have anything that you want to acknowledge and let go of, and step forth in a new way.